We are currently living in a tale of two markets. What do I mean? Hey, this is Robbie Bro with Robbie Bro and team at The Real Broker. Let's dive right in on what's going on. So, if you take a look, the last couple of months, we've been kind of steady Eddie, nothing really super crazy. 321 homes sold in July, August at 304, September's at 304, and nothing super crazy. But if we take a look and we go and compare to this time last year, September's numbers, we sold 304 compared to this year. September, you can see right here, 255 homes. That is an increase of 19.22%. Year to date, we're up just under 7%. So overall, pretty healthy. And it's pretty easy to be able to see because you can see how the numbers from January over to the end of September, for the most part, have been higher than the previous half of this of the graph that's running through right here. So what does dollar volume happen to look like? Let's take a look. Dollar volume, we sold 88.386 million compared to 71.918. That is an increase of 23%. That means our dollar volume is selling for more than what it was this time last year when you combine all of those homes that are running through. Year to date, we are running roughly 10% increase compared to where we were this time last year. So things are still trending on the up and up. So one of the things that we love to go and take a look at, what does supply happen to look like whenever we're getting new homes coming on the market? If you've got demand going up and supply going down, that's a sign of a healthy market. If you've got supply going up and demand going down, it's the flip side. You find a market that is weakening or softening. So 358 new homes came to the market in September. When you compare that to 342, that is a decrease of just over 3%. So relatively flat compared to where it was this time last year. We're roughly 4.6% more homes on the market than we have been year to date. So if you add all of these numbers from January over to September, you add January all the way over September, and you divide 25 versus 24, we're up a little over 4%. So the difference, we're going to jump into demand. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. When we're looking at demand, that kind of tells us what the other side of that coin happens to look like. 294 homes under contract compared to 242. You could see during the summer there's a little bit of a dip. They stayed steady. We had an increase in October, but for the most part, pretty close. 242 compared to 294. That is an increase of right at 25%. Year to date, we're up just under 10%. So if you take a 4.6% increase in the number of new homes that came to the market and match that compared to 10% homes coming off of the market, the difference between the two, we're roughly 5% decrease in the total amount of homes that are available for sale. So we take a look at the homes for sale. It seems to be running around that curve. So 1259 compared to 1279, roughly fairly flat. When we compare to what things have been looking like over the last 5 years, obviously we were way up prior to COVID. Everything dropped right down, and we're slowly working our way back to where we were close to the month before COVID. And if we dig a little bit farther back, you remember in 2018, 2019, that number was actually a good bit higher. January sales back in 2020 were super, super strong. So what does the average sales price? What are our values looking like? Let's get our sales price, days on market sales price. Here we go. Average sales price, while looking on its face, this 331 dropping all the way down to 289. If you guys remember, we had in the last 2 months, we had some really major sales that had occurred that threw off some of the sales price. We had a 4.5 million. We had a couple of them at 1.8. We had some 1.3s, way more than we normally do whenever we're taking a look at, that's going to count, but that's kind of a one-off. It doesn't necessarily mean that prices are going to fall off a cliff. Foreshadowing, when we're looking at this time next year, I can just about guarantee you that the average sales price will appear to have dropped from a cliff, but it's because we more than likely won't have another $4.5 million sale to throw into the mix whenever you get all of those homes taking a look. So one of the other things that we love to go and chat about too is where are mortgage rates. Right now, we're actually seeing a little bit of a decrease in that mortgage rate, low sixes. We've been 6.25, 6.375, sometimes 6.5, but that's overall a good bit better than what we've been seeing over the past 12 months. Last year, we were in the sevens. We saw, which is one of the reasons why we're outperforming what we did this time last year. It was a little bit tougher. When mortgage rates go up, demand typically goes down, and our buyers tend to respond to that pretty quickly. So one of the next ones that I want to be able to jump into, we're going to look at a couple other indexes real quick. Let's see, get my slide to go and pop up right here. It's going to feel like Jeopardy, y'all. Y'all bear with me. All right. First one we want to be able to take a look at is the median list price. So median list price, and we're going to go and jump in from January up till of 2024. Median list price. So in order for a home to get sold, we need to make sure, let me make sure I got all this stuff up here. Well, where is, that is the wrong screen. You guys bear with me, sorry. There we go. In order for a home to get sold, one of the things that the media loves to go and talk about, it's always, we talk about leading indicators and lagging indicators. Lagging indicators meaning median sold price. Well, median list price, the house has to get listed before it gets sold. So if we're seeing the list prices go up, we're seeing values increase. If we see median list prices go down, typically values will decrease a little bit, but that could be the homes that are actually coming up on the market. So one of the things that we noticed, we saw values ended up popping up as far as the median list prices, and it has slowed down a touch, but that doesn't necessarily tell all of the story. Whenever we're also, the other thing that we like to take a look at is the price decreases as far as the listings that are on the market. We typically see this range roughly in the 30 to 40% range, 35 to 40% range. You can see back in April of 2024, we were roughly 36.7. Right now, we're closer to 42. So we've leveled off in that upper 40 range. That means all of the homes that are on the market have experienced, at least 40% of these have experienced a price decrease. So that is indicative of homes staying on the market a little bit longer, particularly on the upper end. Those homes on the upper end have definitely kind of hung out a little bit more. We're seeing a little bit more negotiation room that's popping up in here too. Moving on, the last one I want to go and jump in and talk about is the Market Action Index. And essentially what that number is, that's the relationship between, if I can go and let's see, here we go. That is the relationship between the rate of sale and the number of homes that are on the market, or think about inventory. So rate of sale divided by inventory, and that tells us a market action index. So what's actually happening right here, it's been relatively stable. When that number drops up, it favors the seller. When the number drops down, it favors the sellers a little bit. When it goes up, it favors the buyers a little bit. Right now, we're in a 30. Doesn't necessarily favor anybody, but it does give a slight seller's advantage depending on the market area that you are. The last handful of weeks, we've been running roughly 31, 32%, and we're updating these every single week. So for the most part, the homes that are coming on the market are coming off the market. They're taking a little bit longer to be able to do that because we're noticing that we're seeing a little bit more homes that are actually coming off the market. We're having more listings that are showing up with a decrease that's popping up. But there are overall market is staying fairly steady. So with interest rates moving down, you can predict based on our demand going up compared to this time last year. I'm expecting October's numbers to look a good bit better than they were this time last year. If you're interested in finding out what your equity position happens to look like, I'd love to be able to reach out. Give me a call on my personal cell, 337-658-5690, and we will see you next time.